Our viewers told us which board games they've been playing and why, and we picked a bunch to share with you. There's some old favourites, a dash of the newest hotness, and several surprises in this month's People's Choice selections. We were told that the epic Egyptian game Kemet was reborn with Kemet, Blood and Sand, which is a re-implementation of the original Kemet game, and we can immerse ourselves now in a more realistic Egypt. Here, gods are powerful masters of both the desert and the Nile Delta. They challenge each other in violent battles and show no mercy. And we have to become ready to be one of these Egyptian gods. Open the gates of our city and let our troops sing the songs of war, which I have to imagine doesn't sound great, as we claim dominance as masters of Egypt. Also, we're told this got a really brand new map that's been redesigned with a big twist. I feel like the twist is it's not anything like ancient Egypt. You can summon giant monsters. It was viewer Mark W who suggested this one and says, push past the over-the-top production, dizzying array of purchasable tiles, and it's a furiously contentious area control game that rewards opportunistic aggression. I used to think it had too much going on compared to its cousins in the Matago line, Inish and Cyclades, but it stands alongside them just fine as a memorable, visceral experience that keeps the focus on the shared tactical space that all players inhabit. Why isn't this a Stargate game? That's my real bone of contention with Kemet. It's a great game. It's fun. It rewards you for fighting. It makes you go out, right? You have to go and fight. You can't just hide because there's points in fighting. That's how you win. But it should be a Stargate game. Your troops literally transport from one obelisk to another. Imagine this. Stargate fans know what I'm talking about. It would have been so good. This is the Stargate game that could have been. But it's a good one.
Just released and making a splash is the game that helped make this episode possible. AQUA from the Op Games, which invites 1 to 4 players to dive into the beauty and wonder of the ocean, delivering an incredible gameplay experience for the whole family. The game starts in a hot, natural spa that's gradually surrounded by expanding coral formations. Using coral tiles from a central market allows players to foster a biodiverse habitat, attracting a widening variety of larger and larger marine life. Various coral patterns will attract a variety of animals to your ecosystem, providing many strategic options. The player who grows the best coral formations and attracts the greatest range of sea animals will score the most points and win. Solo play and optional modes are also included, all with stunning artwork. AQUA is now available, so follow the link in this video's description to purchase a copy today and soak up this unique game that brings the diversity of the ocean to life.
Next we have My Father's Work. My Father's Work was chain-smoking cigarettes in a steel factory, but in the game we are instead competing mad scientists, trying over 3 generations to complete the work of our fathers, who are also mad scientists. Players earn points by completing experiments, aiding the town in its endeavours, upgrading their macabre estates, and hopefully completing their father's masterpiece. But you have to balance study with active experimentation, because at the end of each generation, all of your experiments and resources are lost to time until their child begins again with only the journaled knowledge and estate they have been willed to them. And since the game is played over the course of 3 generations, it's inevitable that the players will rouse the townsfolk to form angry mobs or spiral of insanity and ethically dubious works they've created. Viewer Lee R says super strong theming really does make you feel like a mad scientist working in a lab on some arcane experiment. On top of all that, choose your own adventure of the story means that you never really know what your objective is going to be or where your victory points are going to come from. I am slightly tempted by this game. It's cool because you've got like the board, you've got a main board, and then you've also got a binder, which is a different middle of the board with different worker placement spaces on. And you don't know what's going to happen because the decisions that you make, because it's all app driven, right? Even though the person who reads the app is Ben Maddox from 5 Games for Doomsday, I can forgive them that. And you don't know what's going to happen because your choices change things. And any game where you can build up skills like chemistry, biology, the occult, that's always fun for me. I will say that there's meant to be a lot of text in this. It's all lovely read out to you, but there is a whole novel in this game. That being said, I'm tantalised by this one. Thunder Road Vendetta is a revved up, restored version of the classic 1986 game of mayhem on the asphalt, where you grab your crew, roll your dice and race your cars, shoot your guns, and try not to get wrecked. This new version features new stuff, including random hazard tokens such as wrecks, oil slicks and more, and now damage isn't merely one and done. You'll draw damage tokens that affect differing effects that can send your car careening across the board. You also have more choices on your turn, assigning one of your dice to your command board to repair damage, nitro boost, or send out an attack copter to fire away. It was viewer Luke P who suggested this one, that says this is a great experience at 2, but I imagine that at 4 is where the game really sings. Chaos, carnage, cars, what more could you want? I do really want to play this, and I want to play this with as many people as possible, because you move and then you smash someone's car, you do a slam, and then they take damage, and then you shoot them, and then that means that they careen off to one side. And you've just changed everything. And that car smashes into another car. It's Mad Max the board game, but it's meant to be really, really fun and just frivolous nonsense in a best way possible, I feel like. Space Corp 2025 to 2030 AD is described as a fast-playing game of exploration and development in outer space over 3 eras. Each player controls an Earth-based enterprise seeking profit by driving the expansion of humanity into the solar system and beyond. You could assemble a spaceport, launch an exploration mission to Mars, mine the asteroids, earn profit from exotic resources, discover microbial life. It's so complex, I can barely say it. Decode exo-DNA to develop radiation-resistant human pioneers. It's a big open sandbox space game. Also, I think when they describe it as fast-playing, they mean relative to other GMT games. Viewer Henry W says this game is out of this world. See what you've done. I love my recent play of it with its expanding board and mechanism. It feels like a campaign game that can be played in one sitting. That makes a lot of sense, because this game, honestly, I think I want to play it. It looks really cool. Each era is literally played on a different board, which is further and further out into space, because it's over that 300 years of humans going into space, right? So first getting off the planet, out of the solar system, and then doing all crazy stuff. And I watched a whole video about like a how to play of this, and it really seems like it looks more complex and complicated than it truly is. You know, when you're using this card system and you can buy more cards to make sure that you gain the actions that you want, and it feels like you can kind of just do anything. Go off, do what you want, explore space, do this. And in those type of games, I worry sometimes that I'm just too busy having fun and not busy enough winning. But with so many options in the game, it's cool that there's a contracts board, which kind of like focuses you in on some of the things that maybe you should be doing to get points. I like a sandbox, but a sandbox with a goal is also good. The Red Cathedral is a strategic Euro game in which the players take on the roles of construction teams, and your job is to work together to put up St. Basil's Cathedral. But, you know, you want to do that as a group, but also better than anyone else because points. It's all based around a dice selection system where you can get resources and gain guild bonuses, so you can in turn build different towers of the cathedral and decorate them to score multiplying points. Stephen L says that for such a simple game with only 3 actions, there are so many possibilities, tons of strategy and replayability. I agree. Was this my favourite game of 2020? Yes. And I would hazard to guess it still is. I love the Red Cathedral. Don't get me wrong, I also love the White Castle. That's a great game too. But the Red Cathedral, there's something about this game. The way you get resources on this rondel track, where you pick up a dice and move it the amount of pips that's there, and then you gain the reward of where you end up on the rondel. But if there's other dice there, you get multiples of that reward. That's so just fun. You can, before you build up the cathedral, you have to claim the spot that you're going to build, and when you claim the spot you're going to build, you get a bonus, so that now when you activate a dice, you get a bonus thing. So now when I activate the blue dice, I get the reward of the red dice. Now when I activate the green dice, I get a gold. Those type of things. It's fun, it's combo-y, it's just a great game. The Red Cathedral really just continues to shine as a classic Euro game. I think that is how we will look at it in 10 years. Up next is Rail Pass, where 2 to 6 players work together to deliver as many goods as possible in 10 minutes. Sounds nice, with goods being represented by cubes. Lovely. And with the colour of the cubes indicating their destination city, what could be simpler? During the setup, players scramble the goods and arrange them in rows across the top of their city boards. The player controlling the city can see all the cubes that must be delivered, but can put goods from any to the right to left on the row and then load them onto the trains. Once the clock starts, all players take action simultaneously. Any order, repeating any action as often as necessary to transport cargo cubes that must be first loaded onto a short or long tree that then rest any player's home city, train yards. No train can move without this crew peg, and no crew peg may travel beyond an adjacent city. In order to transport cargo in more distant cities, the train needs to stop, have the crew peg swap, cargo exchange between trains. And while all this is going on, players must avoid dropping or spinning cubes when picking up or handling the trains. The player's additional train components such as tunnels and bridges are there. That is what playing this game is like. It's chaos. Mark W again here says, real-time cooperation dexterity train game with mandatory toot proclamations. The premise alone is worth the price of entry. If it were a reward for sheer uniqueness in a game's vision, Rail Pass would be a finalist in any year. Rail Pass, this game. So, if you didn't get from my description there, Rail Pass is a game where you've got all these cubes in front of you and you're trying to deliver them. Trains can only go a certain distance and you have to change out the conductor of the train, the engineer of the train essentially, to move them further. And you're trying to do all this, but the trains themselves, these plastic things with little cubes on, that if you just move wrong, the cubes are going to fall off. That's not good. You've got to pass them between each other. You do have to say toot toot. I'm against it. That's fine. And you're trying to move them under a bridge. It's a nonsense game. It's 10 minutes of absolute chaos and, most importantly, fun. Rail Pass is just a little gem. It's not something I need to play all the time, for sure. But at a convention, Rail Pass might be one of the best convention games out there. In For One Galatrix, you want to use your rockets to move down 5 star paths as far as possible. Each round you'll roll 5 space dice, not regular dice, then use valuable rocket components and a star colour to hurdle hazards such as black holes and forbidden zones, while collecting bonuses such as target flags and additional rockets. The latter are especially important because without enough rockets, your game will quickly come to an end. And we are told that Galatrix includes multiple levels of gameplay. Playing those multiple levels is Kenneth K, who says, this is my now go-to solo game. I love the small package. It contains 5 different maps and 20 different games in one small box. It's completely replayable with simple rules. I've become a bit exhausted with complex campaigns that take a year to finish. You complete a game of this in 10 minutes. So this is part of the 4-1 series by Rodney. There's a bunch in there. I also want to play the Rose Garden one. I want to try that one. But I would play them all. Let's be honest. It's by Knizia. And this one has a bit of a look of you're trying to roll the dice to move down these tracks, which is not something that's not something brand new. But apparently they're really good. My main concern with this series of games is they're not available in English yet. I'm sure that you can buy these games and just get the rules off Board Game Geek, right? But I wouldn't mind some English rules, or for them to be able to buy them without import charges. But I did hear, now I don't know if this was a fever dream or I'm certain I heard this, some of these For One games are going to be made into apps. And if that's the case, that's very fun. But I would love to get my hands on a few of these ones for sure. In Wandering Towers, it's time for the Raven Realm Magic School graduating class competition. Of course, so the students can demonstrate their mastery of magic. And for your final exam, all the wizards of each class must assemble at the legendary Raven's Keep, but every last one of them has procrastinated, distracted by learning new spells. They've also used all their potions, and they can't show up unprepared with empty potion bottles. So you need to help your wizards get to Raven's Keep as quickly as possible. Of course, using their magic, these students are able to move even the very towers atop which they stand to get there more easily. But how can they refill their potion bottles, you ask, along the way? Well, It's a little secret. Trapping wizards allows you to capture some of their magical essence in a bottle. Viewer John D, wonderful human, says Wandering Towers was a pleasant and fun game that reconfirmed that my memory is less than optimal. Apparently a reminder was necessary. Get it? A reminder was necessary that he didn't have any memory. What a guy. So this is a Kramer and Kiesling racing game that kind of has a little bit of a feel of Verflichts, which the game That's Life about it, where you're moving around this circle of towers, and you can move either you or you can move the towers themselves. And you've got these potion bottles that need to be filled, and to fill the bottles you need to move the tower onto one of your opponents. That'll flip your bottle over, capturing their essence or whatever. And you want to move there, but the thing is, you've got to get all your people around to the very end of the board, but also you've got to remember where your people are, because they're in towers. So my people have been trapped in the second level of this tower for 5 minutes, and we've already spoken about how, you know, Philip isn't his old self anymore, and then we've moved over here and we've said, yeah, I'll have a cup of coffee, and then you come over here and go, I have no idea where any of my wizards are. They're gone, they're dead to me. But you've got to find them, so you move the tower and you go, no, they're not there. And there's different levels of play with this one. As you you can use the potions as you collect them, you can use them to do special effects and stuff like that. I'd love to play this one. In Cloud Age, or Claddage as no one calls it, we remember of course that 15 years ago the mysterious secret society Cloud set fire to countless oil production sites and burned down large forests to destabilise the world. What a weekend that was. The resulting environmental catastrophe had disastrous effects on the entire planet. Now, years later, we've travelled above the dried out landscape in our airship searching for a better life, visiting cities, sending out drones, or collecting resources and battling the Cloud Militia, which isn't a very scary name. This one has an innovative sleeving mechanism that makes a new form of resource gathering possible. You must try to predict which cloud-covered terrain will contain the desired amount of the resource, or where additional actions are possible. Resources allow players to develop useful upgrades for their airships or attract new crew members. And there's a campaign system with new elements being introduced into the game as players progress through the chapters that you can simply also just play standalone games. Playing this has been viewer AS, who says Cloudage is supposed to be about fighting post-apocalyptic terrorist militias from the futuristic airships, but honestly it felt more like we were flying from city to city, raining down death from above until the poor land-bound inhabitants surrendered their precious water to us. Are we the baddies? Does it matter? As long as you're winning, that's all that matters, right? So this is an Alexander Pfister game. It's an Alexander Pfister co-design. And it just doesn't, it went away. Like, he's a massive designer. I just don't feel anyone was talking about this game. And I was one of those people. But I have also just discovered Great Western Trail for the first time now. And I actually like it. After all the negative things I've said about it in the past, I've decided, I've played on Board Game Arena and I thought, this is good actually. So now I'm interested in Cloud Age. And I really liked Blackout Hong Kong because I'm a contrarian. And I want to play this one. You're moving your airship along, trying to gain resources. There's a bit of deck management, deck building going on. And it kind of has a bit of a race element to it because you want to move over different spaces to get resources, or move over different space to get points. And you want to go to these cities to get stuff. And there is this card sleeve thing where you want to pick you want to get the resources, but it's all covered in these clouds. So you have to kind of, is it gambling? Is it pushing your luck? Am I going to want to do it every single turn and probably lose because of it? Yes. Yes, of course I am. And there's a tech tree. There's lots of tech to build and buy to get your more movement, more attack power, more everything, ways to convert your energy of your solar panels and stuff. I feel like this went under the radar, and I would like to play it, especially now I'm feeling that I might want to play more of Alexander Pfister's games. And our final game this month is Mythwind, a cooperative and solo self-described cozy board game with unique characters, magical sprites, what they call an engaging story and an unending adventure. During the game, the characters are working together to establish and build a new town in the magical Mythwind Valley. They work to achieve various goals by constructing buildings within the town, adventuring throughout the region, navigating relationships with the mysterious sprites who inhabit the valley. I don't want to do that. And developing their character-specific professions. As an open-ended game, Mythwind has no distinct conclusion, although many players find a natural endpoint to their game at the conclusion of the story. And players can continue to play the game for as long as they would like over as many game sessions as they wish. And as players progress through the game, their town will develop and grow, reacting to changing seasons and to the members of the community over time. Progress made can be easily saved, we are told, using the provided game trades, which offer a quick and easy solution apparently, both tear down of the game and set up of the next one. And you play as different characters. The crafter's goal is to make items for the townsfolk. As the crafter perfects their craft, they can bolster their reputation and sell their items for a greater profit. The farmer's goal is to plant and grow crops to sell for a profit as well. Crops are polyomino pieces that the farmer must manage within their farming area. Whereas the merchant's goal is to buy and sell goods with the marketplace, paying attention to supply and demand values of goods while also competing with rival merchants. And the ranger's goal is to explore and collect resources for the town, preparing for and embarking on expeditions throughout the valley. Viewer Stephen L says, where to begin? Literally, I don't think I've played any game like this before. Each character plays so differently, it's cooperative, yet you're doing your own thing, but you have common goals to achieve. I have not even heard of this game until I was researching for this list. And I think it was a Kickstarter that passed me by, like, I'll be honest, most Kickstarters do. But there's something tantalizing and wonderful about this that I'm really interested in. I want to play. I need to get some information off you. Have you played Mythwind? Is it good? What is it about? How does it even work? Tell me all about it in the comments below. Tell me your experience with the game. What character are you playing as? And how are you finding that? Is that cool and you're okay with that because of the characters? Are you jealous you're not the ranger? Tell me how it actually works with the setting up and putting down. That is something I do care about. And what does an open-ended game that never really ends mean? If you played the game, then we'd love to hear all about it below. And that's a sampling of what our viewers have been playing this month. To join the discussion for next episode, follow the link in this video's description to our Patreon to find out how to pick the games featured in the People's Choice. And to see the games on our own personal radars, continue on to this month's On the Radar episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you over there.